Hi folks, Steven here. So this is going to be another recap live stream, but although there was a Pokemon Go Community Day this weekend, and we will be covering it briefly, this is going to mostly be a recap of my time at Anime Milwaukee 2022 that was this last weekend. Now, of course, there was not an Anime Milwaukee 2021 because although the vaccines were coming out, nowhere near enough people had them. This year they felt comfortable putting it together, and they did. So I had been there in 2020, and most of the last decade I've been there for most years. But we're going to be covering what I did there, what you can expect to see on the channel coming up over the next few weeks as I process through all the stuff I have there, and a few other things that are going on. As usual, though, I do have a PowerPoint presentation. If you have any questions, go ahead and toss those in the comments. But I want to get straight into our presentation. All right, well, so yes, Anime Milwaukee 2022. This is they always have a prop check because people bring in, as part of their costumes, they'll bring in a prop weapon of some sort, and it has to be checked to make sure it's safe. Obviously not the real thing and stuff like that. But you notice it also has a vaccine and test check. So let me just go into the sort of procedures that they had for this one. Basically speaking, if you were attending as just a regular person, you either had to have proof of vaccination, which usually meant a vaccine card or some other official source showing that you were had completed your at least your main vaccine series, or you had to have a recent COVID test. So that was sort of their policy there. Now, as a press person, I actually had to be fully vaccinated, which I was. I even got a booster shot back in November, so I was all good to go there. I just had to bring in my vaccination card and show that to the folks there. But they required that all staff, all guests of honor, and all press, and a few other roles all had to be fully vaccinated. So there. I also want to note Press Pass provided for this event, which means I didn't have to pay the normal admission fee. So if you count that as paid promotion, I guess maybe you do, but I did want to put that out as a disclosure here. But yeah, obviously things, although the convention was back, things were going to be a little bit different out there. But the venue, same as usual, is the Wisconsin Center. Although those of you who have been around Milwaukee various times, I'm actually located in Madison, which is about an hour and a half away, but the downtown Milwaukee Convention Center has gone through a fair number of name changes in the last decade or so. It used to be known as the Midwest Express Center, an airline that used to be based out of Milwaukee Mitchell. Then, let's see, Midwest Airlines got bought by Frontier Airlines, so they, in effect, inherited that contract, and they were the Frontier Airline Center for a year or two. And then Frontier sold their naming rights over to Delta, and then I guess finally the contract expired, and now it's just the Wisconsin Center. I don't know if they're actively looking for someone to buy the naming rights. But in any case, yeah, you will be seeing this venue again later this year, almost certainly, because Midwest Regionals is going to be at the Wisconsin Center in June, a week before actually North American Internationals. And I do plan on going to that, and there might be one or two other things I go to, like Midwest Gaming Classic, I believe, is also held there. So that is right in downtown Milwaukee. Not as much snow. The weather 2 years ago, it was very cold. This weekend, Friday was actually pretty warm, and the rest of the weekend was more seasonal. Let's see here. So, Thursday, what did I do? So yeah, the convention is 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So having taken Friday off from my regular day job, I used Thursday right after work. I drove to Milwaukee. It takes about an hour and a half, or thereabouts, driving from Madison. See, I did pick up a press pass. I kind of made the mistake when I first got there of going up the stairs a couple floors to get my press pass, which normally is not such a bad idea, except when you're wearing a mask, which Milwaukee a few weeks ago, back in January, imposed, I'm not sure how long ago, it's probably through at least the end of this month, a fairly strict mask mandate to sort of cut down the spread. So I got pretty winded there and had to relax a bit. But I did take care of that. You can see my press pass that I wrote my name on. That is my actual handwriting. It's pretty bad. And then I ordered dinner after I got back to my hotel room. So let's see, Taquiera La Sieta. Maybe I got that kind of close. In any case, it's a Mexican restaurant. I'm trying to always feature local restaurants when I do traveling to places and take a nice picture of the meal I bought. So you can see there I got some shrimp fajitas with a little bit of salad and beans and rice to go with it, which was pretty good there, actually. So Thursday, just wanted to get that out of the way. Friday, much busier. So first off, one thing they require you as press at Anime Milwaukee is you have to attend at least 2 press sessions. I actually ended up attending about 6 or 7, depending on how you count. 6. Happened to be 6 actual folks there who had worked on Pokemon in some capacity. Either the main anime series, one of the side animated series that they did, like Generations or Evolution or something like that, or the Pokemon Masters app. So had a very good selection there, but consequently it kept me going to a lot of these press sessions that were spread across Friday and Saturday. So these are the ones I went to on Friday. There was Billy K. I'm sorry, I figure I'm going to get his last name all wrong. So he has played a number of roles within the last few years. Ren, he's also the voice of the Rotom phone. I had some interesting questions to ask him about that. And in last year's Secrets of the Jungle, he did the English voice of Dr. Zed. So that was very interesting. There's Mela Lee, I think is how it's pronounced. Or Mela, I think is how it's pronounced, actually, now that I think about it. Like Bella. I'm not entirely sure. Sorry about that. But she's Elisa in Generations, and she's Karen in Pokemon Masters. So that was another one. Martha Harms was actually, first of all, she's actually a Wisconsin native. I think a Milwaukee area native as well. And she was actually there 2 years ago, but she did not have a press session, unfortunately. And for the latter half of Sun and Moon, she did the voice of Officer Jenny, as well as a few other things that she talks about in the thing I recorded there. And then Johnny Young Bosch, not a major thing. He's best known actually for being one of the second Black Ranger in Power Rangers when that was brought to the States. So like for the second or third season or whatever it was, he was brought in for that. But he also played Brock in Pokemon Origins. So we talked to him a little bit about that and a lot about Power Rangers. So those are 4 things. I do hope to get all of these out on the channel in some form over the next few weeks. It's a little tricky because there's multiple audio feeds and a video feed that all have to be put together. And then once I get all the interviews together, I'm planning on putting those out into a podcast episode. A lot of material to work from. All right, so I always try to find the cosplay meetup if there is one. This one was kind of odd. There wasn't a dedicated Pokemon cosplay meetup this weekend. There was one for Animal Crossing that was out there that was combined with My Little Pony. But the closest thing was on Friday evening, there was a Nintendo cosplay thing, so you got all the usual stuff there from all the various Nintendo franchises. And even when there is a separate Pokemon cosplay meetup, people will still come to a Nintendo one. So that is obviously a big one there. So, yeah, a lot of interesting costumes here. You can see, first of all, there was a guy who came as Leon, and had the fully decorated cape. You can't see the Game Freak logo on the bottom right there, but it is on there too, along with all the other company logos on the back of the cape there. There was also a very nice Detective Pikachu outfit on there. So I think it's more based on the game than the movie, maybe. I'm not entirely sure. But those were some of the cooler Pokemon ones I saw there. There was one outside of this that I didn't get a chance to flag down. It was a very nice Cubone one that someone did where they had a large prop bone and obviously a headpiece and stuff like that. So that was pretty nice there. So overall, pretty decent showing. One thing you'll notice, by the way, going back to the whole mask thing, pretty good mask compliance throughout all of this. All right, and then I had dinner. May not sound like a lot, but the 4 panel or the 4 press sessions were split up, and then in the middle I had some other things I took care of. Did a lot of walking with all my camera gear. But for dinner on Friday night, I had some stuff from a place called Friars. I don't know if they might be a regional chain or something like that. But in any case, I got some barbecue boneless chicken, a milkshake, and some pound cake. The pound cake I saved for the following morning for breakfast. I know, not exactly the breakfast of champions, but oh well. But that was what I had on Friday night. Okay, so Saturday. First off, first thing in the morning, I did have 2 press sessions to attend, but they weren't towards until the evening, so I had some time to fill in there. There was a small Pokemon TCG League in quotation marks. It's not enough. It's League as is has not started back up yet here in the States under normal circumstances, and probably won't until sometime later this year. I did ask the guy there when he thought it was run by some folks from Gnome Games, who are based in Appleton and Green Bay for the most part. They ran this stuff 2 years ago, if I remember correctly, as well. I did get a nice little promo card you can see there, but I did play a few games with a few folks there, which was kind of nice. Let's see, it was a little difficult. Even though I've been working on that Pokemon TCG randomizer, I did have to reorient myself with the current gen rules, and especially with regard to the starting turn there. I'm not a competitive player by any stretch of the imagination. I've kind of given up on that a long time ago, but so that was kind of nice there. Got to socialize with some folks. Then I did some shopping. I had checked out the vendor hall on Friday. I was kind of disappointed. There wasn't very much in the way of retro games there on Friday. There was a little more. There was a dedicated retro game seller there on Saturday. I don't know about Sunday, but they're definitely there on Saturday. I've seen them before. I forget the exact name of them, but I picked up 4 games. Now, that first one on the top left, Smart Ball, actually, despite the Sony ImageSoft logo, does have a Pokemon connection. It was co-developed at least by Game Freak. Although I don't think they did the music. I think someone from the Sony ImageSoft side did the music. But some of the sprite work does look vaguely Pokemon-ish for some of the creatures in there. It's known in Japan as Jelly Ball, or because of RL transposition in Japanese, sometimes it's referred to as Jerry Boy or Jelly Boy or whatever. So it's. But it does have a Pokemon connection, and I'll probably do something with that in the future. I do want to at some point do a discussion where we talk about songs from non-Pokemon Game Freak games. I also bought Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters because it's cheaper than the... It's not the same game as Turtles in Time, but it's a lot cheaper. Pinball Dreams I bought, mainly because I had seen a recent Battle of the Ports episode. Battle of the Ports is a YouTube channel that compares various versions of video games, and they did an episode on Pinball Dreams, I think recently. Maybe it was an archive episode, but I did watch it recently. And then on the right side, you see an NES game, Castilian, I think is how it's pronounced. But it's a port of a Commodore 64 platforming game where you go around a cylindrical spire or castle or whatever and try to make your way to the top. Has some kind of interesting music in there that I think I might wind up using for my From 8 to 64 radio show. So that was kind of what I did with shopping. I kind of hope to find... I was actually trying to find a Shinx plush to have, but didn't see that around. All right, next thing, order of business. The vendor hall, thankfully, is very close to both the tabletop gaming and video gaming area, so I swung by the Smash Ultimate tournament. There was a Melee tournament on Friday night, but I was so tired by the end of the day. I didn't sleep very well on Thursday night that I decided I didn't want to stay up till like 1 in the morning for the end of the GameCube Melee tournament. So here's the Smash Ultimate tournament. There wasn't a Pokemon tournament that weekend, unfortunately. But here was the opening shot of the finals. I did contact the guy who won it, and we're going to hopefully be putting together a written interview within the next week or so. I will try soon to send out a list of questions and whatnot there. But there you can sort of see that. So that was kind of fun to watch for a little bit and sort of just sit down for a little bit. I also did go to one panel. It was a Pokemon drawing panel where they would come with the name of a Pokemon and a couple clues and have someone who was not very familiar with the franchise try to draw it. That was kind of amusing. All right. Oh yeah, Saturday was Go Community Day. My goodness, when you think it can't get any busier. This was fairly straightforward, at least for me. So it was Hoppip Community Day. So you can see, we'll do kind of a redux version of the Community Day there. I did manage to complete all the tasks, and I did get a regular as well as a few shiny ones. So you get the hop hip. The regular one is, of course, pink, and the shiny one is green. And I think it swaps for the evolve forms or whatever. So kind of interesting there. But managed to get through everything, all the tasks and stuff, and get some experience. And also because, I managed to share some friend codes or whatever you call them with the folks at the Tcg thing earlier in the day to sort of complete a few tasks and also expand my friends roster. I did a few raids as well over the weekend. It was a Valentine's Day event. Excuse me. On top of all of this, and so they had different sets of Pokemon you needed to collect. They also had Gardevoir and Gallade with Synchronized showing up in raids. Managed to take advantage of a fair bit of that. So that was a pretty nice thing. It's always be on the lookout for Pokemon Go stuff when you go to conventions. Especially being in the downtown area, of course, there are a number of stops and gyms in the vicinity for you to take a look at. So that was pretty good. All right, 2 more press sessions on Saturday. So there's Griffin Burns, who is Hilbert in Pokemon Masters, among many other things. And Keith Silverstein, who is Norman in Pokemon Masters, and it turns out he's actually done a fair number of other things in the Pokemon anime here and there. So that I got to ask some pretty interesting questions to both of them, which I look forward to once I get those interviews all put together. It's going to be a lot of work since I have a lot of stuff to go over. Dinner for Saturday night was Greek Gyros. I know, not the most creative name for a restaurant, but their food was pretty good. I really wish they had a lot of interesting dessert options there, but I wasn't in the mood for that there. But the food I did have, obviously, yeah, lamb meat, a little on the greasy side. A lot of these things took a while to digest, but I enjoyed eating them. So yeah, that was the third one. Okay, Sunday. Sorry to be a little anticlimactic here. This is not a judgment against the convention, but I decided to kind of head home early, like a little before noon that day. I could have gone, and I apologize to Gnome Games for not taking advantage of this. I hope they sold well anyway. But the gaming area, the tabletop gaming area, did have some pre-release kits for sale. They weren't running an actual pre-release because they can't, but they did have some of the kits for sale for like $30. Of the Radiant Stars, or whatever it's called, Brilliant Stars. I forget exactly the name of it. You can tell I've been not keeping up so well on the current trading card game. But yeah, they did have that all set up. Those for sale. But I decided I really wanted to get some extra sleep. I did not sleep super well this weekend. Nothing against the convention. And I was just feeling kind of tired, so I wanted to kind of drive while there was still daylight. Rather than waiting until, technically the con closes at like 4 on Sunday afternoon. So, I mean, they did have to keep it open. The Packers didn't make the big game this year, but if they had, they certainly would have places to go and things to do. But yeah, so nothing against the con. I just decided by the end of Saturday, I really felt it was like the end of Sunday. I don't know if it was carrying all the stuff or having to have a mask on and stuff like that, but... Okay, overall thoughts. Press sessions, very well managed. I don't think, of all the ones I went to, all the folks were made it there. There were none that were more than like a few minutes late. So that worked out really well. I've had previous years at conventions where folks have been overbooked or stuff like that. Mask compliance was very good at the convention. People took the stuff very seriously there. I don't have it, unfortunately I don't have it with me because I finally took it off this morning. But they gave you, in addition to a badge, like you saw from my press pass, they also had you have a little wristband that said that you had been COVID-19 screened. In other words, you would either turn in a test or your vaccination card. So they were very careful about that. Even before the city of Milwaukee put in those restrictions last month, they had a pretty strict policy on it, and so that worked out pretty well. Other thing, very tiring. I don't know how much of that was just me walking around with a lot of heavy equipment, or not getting a lot of rest, or having a mask on, or whatever like that. But it definitely took some stuff out of me to do that. But certainly enjoyed it. Next year, hopefully things will be a little more normal. No guarantees. Still hoping the rest of the tournament season goes relatively okay. But, okay, that covered that event. Now, a few more updates on the PokeCast Network. I did say I will be putting a podcast episode together. It may not literally be the next episode. It depends if I get some stuff from one of our previous discussions and how that all fills in. But let's see. First off, Poke Science on the PokeCast Network. We're going through a couple of our shows here. Poke Science, How Not to Be Killed by a Paris. So, yeah, those of you who played Arceus, Legends Arceus, the Pokemon are much more threatening to your trainer than they are normally in Pokemon games. And for a base stage Pokemon, Paris can be fairly aggressive if they want to. So that's one thing that seems to have inspired that episode. Critical Hitmonlee, Nest Steam Gym Challenge, not sure, but this is a sort of a RPG storytelling podcast type deal. Let's see, Welcome to the World Pokemon. They're up to Pokemon number 80, Slowbro. Let's see, and then Not a Scratch, Arc 4, Episode 9. It's not an anime without a tournament arc. So those are some things you can definitely check out if you're wanting to. Like I said, I will try to get all these interviews I've done, all the audio from all these video interviews I did, onto the feed as soon as I get through them all, which will probably be take a couple weeks to get through them. But yeah. Alright, so that kind of covers that. Alright, so there's a little bit of musical stuff happening in the Pokemon world right now as well. I know that they did. They put out an interesting little short animation where Ash gets transported to, like, I don't know if it's, I guess it's this in the future or something, by Celebi in the middle of a tournament. It's kind of weird. It's got a lot of instrumental scores, mostly from the earlier period of the Japanese version of the anime, which I think tends to sound a little bit more, a little bit better, a little more interesting, I guess, than some of the more recent stuff. They also put out this Piplup related video. It's another Piplup related video with some, I'm not sure exactly what the music is. Also, they did some sort of, for Legends Arceus, they did some sort of tie-in with, like, I think a Japanese girl group or something like that. So there is definitely some musical stuff happening. But aside from that, that kind of covers Anime Milwaukee and everything that's been happening lately. All right, folks, thanks.